that you read, the more things you'll know. The more that you learn, the more places you'll go. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands us to read. Reading has the power to open our eyes, open our hearts, and truly transform us. Bismillah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the Muslim Bookshelf. I am your host, Naima B. Robert, and I am super excited to share today's guest with you. Now, I have a quote from a children's author that you may be familiar with. And I'm going to say the quote, then you can tell me if you know who said it. He said, "If you're going to get anywhere in life, you have to read a lot of books." Now, I know it's not a very clever quote, it's not a very original quote, but that is what Roald Dahl said. And that is so true. If we are going to get anywhere in life, we've got to read a lot of books. And if we're going to read a lot of books, we might as well start young. Which is why I'm so pleased to have Zainab Mian here, the prolific author, publisher, and probably the funniest Muslim author that I've ever met. MashaAllah. Sister Zainab, welcome to the show. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. That is such kind words. Who is Zainab Mian? That's such a vast and deep question to answer, but I am a mum of 2 boys. I am someone who absolutely loves writing. I'm very nosy when it comes to people. I love observing people. I'm a people person, so I think that's where a lot of my inspiration comes from, is just watching what people do all day. So I guess Zainab Mian's a very nosy person who, if I spend maybe seconds with you, you might end up in one of my books. As a little girl, I loved to write, and everybody knew me as that little girl who loves to write. I filled notebooks with funny, silly, rhyming poems and with stories. But I lost that part of myself for a big chunk of my life until I had kids of my own, and then the stories came back to me because I was telling them stories. I was making up stories for them, especially for bedtime. And that's when I became a writer again, because I realized this is something I love doing. And I want to do it all the time. People are always surprised when I tell them I have a degree in molecular cell biology, because I'm a writer and I write silly, funny books. I think that's the last thing that they imagine me studying at university, but I went to UCL to study molecular cell biology. So that is one of the things that people find surprising about me, but I don't, because I've always loved science. I love writing more, and science is very stressful and serious, and I guess that's just not me as a person. I like being goofy and silly, and I feel really passionately about conveying Islam and simplifying it for our young children. I love designing things, so I love playing around on Photoshop. I design all the book covers at Muslim children's books myself. I love driving, that's one of my main passions. I love fast cars and driving them. And I'm not worried about the ones that I can't have, like a Koenigsegg or something. It's the ones that I can have. Yeah. At the moment, well, my dream is to have a 911 993, but it's out of my budget, so. I do have a R8 at the moment, which I've had for the last 3 years. I'm selling that to live my 911 dream, inshallah. But not the 993. So the reason I wrote the Planet Omar series is because I wanted to correct all those horrible negative stereotypes about Muslims in the West. That's what drives me on the mainstream side. At Muslim Children's Books, what drives me is I really believe in engaging children in really simple and fun books that pull their attention and leave them just loving the deen. And that's what drives me to be able to create books like that. Hopefully Planet Omar will eventually be made into a TV series or a film. That's already in the works. Don't know if it's going to happen, but that might be what's next for me. But I'm going to continue to keep writing because that's what I love doing best.
Ecstatic to have you
Really
here,
too.
mashallah, award-winning author, and like I said, prolific, and we will talk more about that, mashallah, but creator of, you know, some Muslim classics like Migo and Ali and our beloved Planet Omar. How do you introduce yourself to people nowadays?
Just simply as Zainab Mian children's books author.
I like that. Okay,
That's
simple, to the point.
Or do you want a fuller description? Like,
well, some people say, well, you could, right? So we've got a new book, haven't we?
Yes.
So we're going to get a chance to talk about your new book. But before we go into the new book, I'd like to go back, way back, back to the very beginning of Zainab Mian, the author, because you weren't always an author, and I don't think you even always wanted to be an author. At one point, you were a teacher, right?
That's right, yes.
Take us back to those days.
I was a science teacher, but if you go further back, so all the way back to when I was in primary school, I didn't want to be an author because I didn't think it was an option for me, but I loved telling stories.
Mashallah.
And I wrote a lot. I wrote lots of rhyming poems, I wrote stories, and I still have the notebooks. Oh, I should have bought them, but
next time.
Yeah, they're kind of really falling apart because they're years old. So back then I did want to be an author. At high school I pursued my love for science and followed a career in science. I studied molecular cell biology at university. I had completely forgotten about the writing side of myself until I had children of my own. And I started telling them stories. But more than that, I noticed that there was still diverse characters missing, completely missing from books, which were just fun stories. They weren't to do with Ramadan or Eid, which we do need those books as well, definitely. But I just wondered why they weren't represented in all sorts of everyday stories.
Yeah, exactly. And this is something that a lot of parents, especially those days, you know, wondered, you know, where are all the books with characters like my kids, with names like ours, you know, with, you know, certain aspects of family like ours. But I know that you didn't just stop there. You didn't just wonder about where are all the books. You did something about it.
Yes, so I had written a story, so this is back in 2007, and I had written a story called Adam and the Tummy Monsters, which I did go on to publish, so the name will sound familiar to some. I pitched it to, I think it was just one publisher. I didn't really know what I was doing, to be honest, but they came back and said that they're not publishing, it doesn't fit with their book list, and they're not publishing books of this kind. So I thought, what kind are you talking about? You know, the diverse kind. But so I decided that if anything was to be done about it, I'm going to have to just publish them myself. And I started Sweet Apple Publishers with a view to publish books from other authors too, not just by myself. And I was very ambitious. I didn't only want to represent, you know, South Asians or just Muslims. I wanted to represent everybody that was missing from books, and that was hugely ambitious.
In hindsight, okay, here we are today. Obviously, lots has happened, and we're going to hear about that. But what would you tell your younger self then, when you were at that stage in the journey? What would you tell your younger self about that focus? Oh, that's a really, really great question. I would tell myself to, I know it sounds sort of cheesy, but be the change. And also I would tell myself that I can totally be an author, because look at me now, I am one. Yeah, absolutely.
But back then there were no authors that looked like me, so you know, I wasn't imagining it. And not only were there no authors that looked like me, we didn't get to meet authors back then. Children these days are very lucky. They get lots of school visits. There's all these fabulous book festivals that take place, so they get to go to events and see authors. But when I was growing up, there was none of that, or you know, I wasn't experiencing it. So I never even imagined that authors were sort of real people, or people, I thought they were all dead. Yeah, I thought they were people who lived ages ago, and then now we had their books. And
what a surprise. What a surprise to find that. So Sweet Apple Publishers, you had this very ambitious, kind of very wide goal to be an inclusive publisher, I guess. What did you end up doing with the books with that publishing? Yeah,
so I was aiming mainstream. So I was representing characters. They were picture books, so there wasn't a lot being said about them. And I was just representing all sorts of characters visually.
That's with the illustrations.
With the illustrations. Right. So they were picture books. That's where my writing journey began when I came back to writing. But it was very hard to get them on the shelves. It was very, very difficult. And as I said, my degree was in science. My background was in science. I didn't know anyone who was in publishing or the arts at all, really.
Wow. So hold on a minute, because obviously I'm familiar with your books, right? Even the Sweet Apple ones and the ones from the earliest days. And for some reason, I thought that you had some kind of creative eye or creative agency over the books, because they didn't look like the other books that were being done at the time. So did you just kind of choose illustrators by chance, or did you have some kind of idea of what you wanted the books to look and feel like?
Yes, definitely. I had an idea of what I wanted the books to look and feel like, and I chose the illustrators with that in mind.
Yeah.
A couple of the very early books I got my sister to help me with, because she was studying graphic design. So she did for My Dad's Beard, for example, she did the typesetting for that.
Yeah.
But yes, the creative vision for the book is always there when I have the story.
Yeah, and I can see it anyway, because especially you mentioned about the typesetting. Because, you know, for those of us who are kind of in children's books, and especially knowing the books that were around at that time, My Dad's Beard was something very different. It was jumbly, you know, like the text was jumbly, you were playing with fonts, you were playing with the layouts, etc. And I think you continued with that style and that approach to the work. And I always see it as just fun. But maybe you have another way of explaining your vision as you went more into writing more children. And then you started Muslim children's books, didn't you? Or did that turn into Muslim children's books?
So I was writing the mainstream books which had diverse characters, but they were not only aimed at Muslim children or teaching Islam per se.
Yeah.
Although My Dad's Beard, obviously there's a big message in there, which is that they're talking about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he's the greatest man who ever lived. But after doing that for a couple of years, during one Ramadan in 2015, I just wanted to give to the community. So I thought, what I'll do is I'll write every day of Ramadan. I'll write and publish as a PDF online, just on Facebook.
I remember that
do you
campaign.
Remember
yes, I do.
So just on Facebook, I was writing the stories of the prophets and just putting them on Facebook. And people were loving them. And so that's back in 2015, when there weren't a lot of books around, Islamic children's books. And people were just really loving how simply they were written.
I think that's the point, because even at that time, there were stories of the prophets.
Yes.
But is this the series that turned into Migo and Ali? Well, if anyone knows Migo and Ali, then you know that the narration style and the storytelling style is completely different. And I'm sure that's what people on Facebook gravitated towards. It wasn't just stories of the prophets, we've always heard them. This is a childlike storytelling. It's a childlike imagining. So where did you find that inner child? We want to know how you plugged into her, mashallah.
Anyone who's watching who knows me in real life just knows that that inner child is very much there.
Okay.
Yes, I'm very much in touch with my inner child, which is probably why
it comes through.
I write for kids.
Yeah, no, it comes through, definitely. So to tell me a little bit about, and tell us about the journey of deciding to do these 30 stories and this great response, then what happens afterwards?
It was a great response, and I thought, it occurred to me, I've been publishing these books which are, you know, they're mainstream books, and we do need them. I'm not going to stop with that. We do need them in the mainstream space, books that represent us. But also I see that our community, the Muslim community, also needs well-written books. I mean, not to toot my own horn.
She is. She does that.
What I mean
that is what she does.
Simply written books.
I get to say
that are appealing. Oh, thank you so much. That are appealing to children, and our community needs this. So I thought, I'm going to publish this as a book, and I'll do it under a different
imprint,
which I just called Muslim children's books.
For SEO fans out there, I mean, come on, you cannot go better than that. MuslimChildren'sBooks.com. I love it.
.co.uk.
Oh, I actually got that. So Migo and Ali.
So Migo and Ali was born because of that, and
and more.
Just people responded, and then more and more, and then more and more. And I did, I continued with the mainstream books as well. So the Planet Omar series I initially published under both Sweet Apple and Muslim children's books together.
Did you?
Yes,
because Planet Omar, that's the one that started as the Muslims.
It was called the Muslims.
All right, so we need to talk about the transition from picture book writing to writing middle grade, right? And just for viewers out there who haven't heard those terms before, picture books are those books that are usually for sort of 3 to 6 year olds, very picture heavy, you know, few words, maybe 1,000 words, and then it goes into early readers, and then middle grade is like your early chapter books, obviously a lot more text, more involved stories, you know, more plot, more character, more dialogue, and then illustration is much less. So a completely different genre.
Yes.
What made you decide to do that?
Definitely. It was quite organic because when I started writing, my kids was very young, so they were picture book age.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
So
okay.
Yeah. So let me tell you one thing about my writing. I don't just write for the sake of it. I write because it's something maybe I've been teaching my children, and then I turn it into a book. Or you know,
that's the hack.
It's kind of I see
that.
what they need, and that's obviously what others need too. And also just the understanding of their minds. So you asked me how I'm connected with my inner child. It's I mean. Yeah, I'm quite like goofy inside. Not all parents are, but you know, being a parent, you know how kids' minds work as well. So that transition took place as my kids grew up. Yeah, and then I wanted to write. So Planet Omar is based. The character Omar is based very heavily on my son, who was 9 years old at the time. So you know, he was such a character. Yeah, mashallah. Just everything that Omar is. Really, really warm and kind, but at the same time cheeky and witty. Yeah. And I just thought the world needs to read a character like this. Like, you're such a lovely, like...
He needs a book.
My kid is the best. You know, yeah, so he needs a book. So I just knew that I wanted to write a character like him. I didn't quite know what the story was going to be yet, but it ended up being what is now book 1 in Planet Omar, which is originally the Muslims. Yes,
and that was a very interesting story as well, because the Muslims, and again, going back to kind of what I've always seen as your approach, which is, you know, it's based in Islam, it's based in contemporary life, but there is this element of just this childlike, well, it's just fun, really. Fun and funny. So that's, again, something that we haven't really seen. So obviously viewers are probably familiar with Diary of a Wimpy Kid and, you know, Dog Diaries and that approach to writing for that age group, but it hadn't been done. With Muslims, as far as I'm aware.
No, it hadn't been done with Muslims. And my son was actually reading the Diary of the Wimpy Kid books, and I had never read one.
What did you think when you read it? Okay, let's full disclosure. Are you allowed to say?
Wimpy Kid?
Yeah.
I still haven't read one. Full disclosure. I still haven't read one. I still haven't read one.
Okay.
And the reason he was reading them, and it was kind of at a similar time where I was thinking of writing Omar. And so I didn't allow myself to read it on purpose because I didn't want the voice to end up being the same or me sort of, you know, consciously or unconsciously mirroring the voice. Yeah. So I still haven't read it, and I never did read
You don't need to
or
read
Tom Gates, any of those ones. But just naturally, the voice that I had for Omar fits with a book that has lots of graphics inside it, lots of images.
Yeah.
So that's what it was.
So you published The Muslims, as it was called at the time, between Sweet Apple and Muslim children's books, mashallah. Double whammy there. Yeah. But then something crazy happened with that book.
Yes.
Something to do with rebels. Tell us about these rebels.
So that book went on to win a mainstream book award called the Little Rebels Award, the Little Rebels Prize, in 2018. And it was completely unexpected. Like, I could not believe it. It was up against award-winning authors, books by, like, you know, the big 5 publishers. Wow. And I was thinking...
And you were self-published.
And I was self-published.
They consider it self-publishing, don't they?
Exactly. So when I was shortlisted, I thought, that's huge. That's huge I was grateful enough for that.
It is.
And, you know, subhanAllah, it all goes back to when you're grateful for something. Doesn't Allah say, if you are grateful, I will give you more? Yeah. Like, I'm getting goosebumps because I just believe... I'm always telling everybody how much that really is true. So maybe it was that. But when I was shortlisted, I was just grateful enough for that. I just thought, but that's it. So I went and did the panel discussion, thinking this is just it. And then I was waiting to hear who the winner is, not expecting it to be me, but it was. Subhanallah, alhamdulillah. And after that, I signed an agent because then few of the
They
big
started
five.
to fight for you. They were like, hold on a minute, we spot a star here in the making. So you were approached by a couple of different publishers.
Yes,
So you needed someone
for the book. Yes,
you need someone to defend that.
Yes.
Just for viewers who are not familiar and those who are interested, what is the job of an agent, a literary agent?
Yeah, so a literary agent represents your work. So if you're not published yet, the literary agent will have all the knowledge of who it should be pitched to, proposed to, which publishers, and they basically sell it to the publishers for you and represent you in all the boring stuff that you don't want to do.
The boring stuff means the
legal stuff,
negotiations,
the negotiations,
guys, the legals, the contracts, the advance, the money, all of those conversations, which a lot of people feel very intimidated by, and you're not really in the best position to defend anything or even negotiate much, especially as a first time, someone being offered a contract for the first time. So if you can get an agent, that's amazing. And you did, mashallah. But just an aside for those who are watching and also who are interested, because I have had a lot of sisters who say to me, look, I've written a children's book, I'm trying to find an agent. Do you advise everybody to try and find an agent first before they do anything with their book, or does it depend on the book?
What do you mean before they do anything? Before they write it?
No. They may have written a picture book, for example, right?
Yes, yeah. Before they try and pitch it.
So before they do anything with it, whether they're self-publishing, whether they, depending on the market, they just think, I need to get an agent now.
Yes.
Do you think that that's the best approach?
I can only speak from my experiences. So I would say on the mainstream side of things, that is a very good approach because, as we just discussed, they're going to be well equipped to get the book in front of the right people, which, publishers don't take unsolicited manuscripts. The
big ones,
and things.
yes.
The big ones,
yeah.
And then even once you find one, just having those difficult conversations. So, yeah, from my experiences, I would say.
Okay, mashallah,
yeah,
good.
Find an agent.
So you guys heard it, okay? So there was an agent got involved to fend off all of these people, make them sit down and like have a decent conversation. Yeah. And so who did you sign with in the end?
I signed with Hachette.
With Hachette, mashallah,
yes.
wonderful.
Yeah.
And so that was book one.
Yeah.
And what happened after that?
Book on a Planet Omar. It was actually a 3-book deal. So we published 3, and then I signed a contract for 2 more.
Mashallah.
So there's actually 5, mashallah.
Amazing.
Planet Omar's out now.
Mashallah.
Yeah.
And I love that for you because I think it is such a huge move for you personally, but also for the space, right?
Yes.
For the Muslims or people writing about Muslims, in a wider context. I think it's huge for all of us really that you've had that. And I think the Planet Omar series, I'm sure I saw it on those like box set websites, where they sell the books and they're discounted and you get all 3 of them. That's huge. Yeah. That's huge because most authors don't get their books in that kind of distribution, mashallah. So
yes, yeah. No, it definitely felt like each win that I get, even now, it definitely feels like not just a win for me, but for a win for the wider community.
Absolutely, mashallah. And you've continued to create more books for both Muslim children's books and obviously, this new one that you've got coming out.
Yes.
So with the Muslim children's book side, do you know how many books you've published so far?
Oh, that's such a good question because usually people just say, how many have you published? And I'm like, I forgot. I've lost count. I think it might, because some of them are now out of print. Okay. So it's probably in the region of about 20.
Mashallah, mashallah. Yeah. And there's a new one, which I saw on Instagram, isn't there? About a little unicorn. And what's the title?
It's called Mimi and the Unicorn Get to Know Allah. Sorry, Mimi and Unicorn. It was originally The Unicorn, but we took that. Mimi and Unicorn Get to Know Allah.
Mashallah. So that's a new picture book, which I'm assuming is sort of continuing in that genre of, introducing children to Islamic concepts in a very fun and child-friendly way.
Yes, definitely. That's what I'm aiming for. Mashallah. So it's a huge concept of knowing Allah. Yeah. And I felt that kids, although we're teaching them Quran and we're teaching them Salah, we're teaching them du'as, but if you sit down and ask them, who is Allah? Can you tell me about Allah? They're a bit lost. Yeah, and so it was inspired by Surah Ikhlas, which I completely love, and I think it's just such a powerful message of Tawheed, and there's a reason why it's 1/3 of the Quran.
Yes.
And it's just so simple and clear about who Allah is. So it was inspired by that, and the whole book is basically translating that and adding other attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the 99 names.
MashaAllah, I love that. I love that, love that. And then there's a new book as well for the middle grade, for our primary schoolers, late primary schoolers. Tell us about the new book.
Yeah, so it's Meet the Maliks, Twin Detectives, and the first book's called Cookie Culprit. So this is it's a new series, with the Maliks twins and the family and the next door neighbour Norman. It's a detective series.
Nice.
So with each book you've got a mystery going on that they're solving. In the first book, so it's based in a mosque and a madrasa that's attached to the mosque, which is really lovely.
How cool is that? Yeah.
It's really lovely to be able to represent that in the mainstream.
Yeah.
Because we've done open windows into Muslim family homes, and the home is still there. But I really enjoyed opening a window into a mosque. What's going on inside the mosque? There's an imam, and in the second book, the imam. I probably am not allowed to say. But
the imam is important in the second book. He's important, and we'll have to wait.
He's important in the first one as well, but in the second one, he's even more important. So we get to see a lot more of him. Okay. But in this first book, they are baking cookies for a charity. It's in Ramadan, set in Ramadan, and they're baking cookies for a charity competition until one day they find that all the cookies have been destroyed, and it's up to the Maliks to figure out who done it.
Okay, right. I have to say, I really admire detective writers.
Oh.
Yeah, I do, because they're often so clever. Like, how did you come up with that? Especially when you read a thriller or a detective series where really you could not figure out who it was. But of course, the writer always knew, right? So that means that the writer has to have that kind of mind to know, like, oh, he's going to do this, and then there's a clue there. And this is how it all unraveled. Did you find it difficult to I don't know what the answer is, obviously. Maybe it's a very simple answer. But how do you keep the audience guessing, keep the reader guessing, and also figure out all the moving parts as the writer?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, because you know who it is, but you can't let them know who it is.
Exactly.
And you have to keep them guessing at other people.
It's a lot of moving parts.
There are a lot of moving parts, and I find that when I'm writing a book, a mystery book, I'm constantly just thinking about it. So I might not have the answers when I'm typing.
Right.
I might begin trying to type a chapter and realize I don't have the answers. So I'll just leave it, go for a drive, or just carry on with my day-to-day life, but just always be thinking about it.
Yeah.
And it just kind of unravels, and this, I do some planning, the structure. I do some planning, so I know some things, but some things just come along as the story goes along.
It just
and the story tells you what to do.
Yeah, I know that feeling. So are you a plotter or a pantser? She's going to say a mix of both, but before she answers, for those who are not sure, because today we're talking all about writer terminology, a plotter is a writer who plans everything out. It could be the full, character sketch, the plot, the structure. They've really planned everything out. And then the pantser is more who just sort of takes an idea, feels it a little bit, maybe has some clues, and then just starts writing and just lets the story go wherever they want it to go. Is that fair?
Yes.
A fair description of the two?
Yeah.
So what's your process?
So I would say with the Planet Omar series, totally a pantser.
Really?
Completely.
Wow.
So
I don't meet many pantsers in my life, that's why.
Oh yeah, completely.
Amazing.
My editors know that they cannot expect a full synopsis from me or any sort of, because I'm just like a few lines.
It's about a kid.
Because I don't even
His name is Omar.
Yeah,
that's all you need to know.
I don't even know yet. Okay, so just trust me. Okay.
Yes.
But obviously with the mystery series, I do have a little bit of a plot, just a little bit, because I know. You have to know who,
at the end,
where it's going a little bit.
At least you have to know the answer, even if you don't know how you're going to get there, or how you're going to take people off the track and confuse them and stuff. I guess you should have an idea of who it is.
And usually I'll know what's happened and who done it, but I won't know the rest.
Yes. Well, that's fun. So that's fun to discover. All right. So another technical question. How many drafts do you typically do for these longer books?
For these longer books. I feel like people watching this show are really going to hate me, who are writers, because whenever I see, I know where this is going, mashallah. Because when I do panel events with other, or you know, you have author friends and you discuss things and they're like, excuse me?
And you just learn to be
and then I'm
quiet
like, oh,
in those
I didn't
spaces.
know that was not normal. Yeah, so part of me just doesn't even want to answer the question. But yeah, usually one draft. With Planet Omar, a couple, like there has been a time where my editor's just gone like, okay, we're going straight to line edits.
Nice.
Alhamdulillah.
Nice. Yeah.
But it's because I do think about it so clearly when I'm doing it, and part of my process is that before writing any further, I go back and I read through again.
Oh,
so I don't just carry on. So so that's why it helps to just make sure everything's making sense and coherent. Yeah. And gelling together really nicely.
Yeah.
So that's part of my process. But for other books, there will be like a little bit of structural changes as well.
Yes. Just trying to make
so that's
everybody
the second
feel
draft.
better.
So that's the second draft. No, really, honestly.
No, but it's true. It is true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
no, it's true.
It
No,
is
mashallah.
true.
No, but I think, like you said, if it's a story that you are almost rehearsing in your head and you can kind of see it, there is it's almost a process of I'm just putting this down on paper, but actually it's all here. I just need to put it down on paper, which means that you don't need that many revisions.
Exactly.
It's making sense here. If it makes sense here, typically it's going to make sense on the page, inshallah.
For instance, with the mystery books, so for book 2, which we've just done the edits on, you know, I was so careful about just getting the plot right and about it making sense, and that there were some elements that and that I knew as well when I submitted it, but I was like, I'm just fed up with this already. I'm just going to send it to them and then I know what they're going to say. But then, so structurally it's a little bit like, oh, add a little bit of why is this girl mean? Like, you know,
backstory
things like
and that kind of thing, mashallah.
So just to...
Alhamdulillah, I love hearing about different authors' processes, especially in, genres that most people probably never, jump into, because middle grade isn't one that a lot of people attempt. So I love to hear your process, and I love the fact that the stories, mashallah, are flowing. May they continue to flow and flow and flow and flow, because mashallah, you're bringing something very important to our spaces and also to just the society that we live in. I want to say a breath of fresh air. And we enjoy that. And I think, when I see people responding to your books online and in person, that's, I think, what people get from you, is that you're just doing your thing. Breath of fresh air, you've got your intention, you've got your style, you're just doing, mashallah, tabarakallah. And we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows you to continue to do that. You'll be the grand dame of the whole space. You're like 80, she'll be like Enid Blyton, having like 200 books behind her, inshallah.
I mean, you're so kind.
So what's next for you? Are you working on something right now? Are you, what's the next project for you?
Yes, so Meet the Maliks is a 3-book series. I just started writing book 3.
Nice.
And then got a couple of titles already, projects open for Muslim children's books.
Lovely, mashallah.
So,
alhamdulillah, may Allah bless them with every khair. And where can people find you?
I mean, they can find me at muslimchildrensbooks.co.uk for the Islamic books. And the Meet the Maliks series and the Planet Omar series won't be on that website because it's not published by Muslim Children's Books, but anywhere where you normally buy books, you'll be able to
absolutely find them. And Amazon, Google, Hachette, wherever is our friend, I think, and we'll definitely be able to find that. And you're active on Instagram, aren't you? I'm active on Instagram. Yes, I'm terrified of Twitter, or X as we have to call it now. So, okay, where is the best person to follow you as an author to be able to get news about all your different projects? Do you post about everything on Muslim Children's Books, or do you keep them for your another profile? Yeah, to be honest, I use my Zainab Mian profile mostly for mainstream, and sometimes I'll share the Muslim children's stuff on there. Right. And then I'll use the Muslim Children's Books profile mostly for Muslim children's books. But I will, if there's a mainstream series coming out, I will share that on there. Personal sort of insights I normally share on the Zainab Mian account. Like, I'm starting to write this, or, more sort of personal stuff. Alhamdulillah. So we'll have all of those links for you guys. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives more power to your pen and continues to bless this journey that you're on. And I'm excited for you. I've watched you over the years, and I've seen the books, and we've known each other. So I'm I don't want to use the word excited, because it's not really excited, and I shouldn't use the word proud because I didn't do anything. But I do feel, as my sister, from our community, British Muslims, hijabi, taking taking initiative and just doing something that you saw needed to be done, and for Allah to just open more and more doors for you. I'm proud of you, and we love you as the Muslim community. We're grateful for you and the work that you've done and the beautiful books that you let our children read.
Alhamdulillah, Jazakallah khair. Allah bless you immensely for the support
Ameen.
that you've always given and that you give to all the authors, which I see you're championing
Alhamdulillah,
the whole community
alhamdulillah.
in finding their voice. So
We
Allah
want to
bless,
see
Allah
more
bless.
stories from Zainab Mian. We want to see the impact that you're going to have, and we're all rooting for you, mashallah. And as always, my dua is that every single one of Zainab Mian's books ends up on Muslim bookshelves all over the world. Ya Rab, make it happen. Sis, jazakallahu khairan.
Jazakallah khair. Wa yaki.
Books for Muslim Kids. The Girl Who Lost the Leopard by Nizrana Farouk. Fight Back by A.M. Dasu. Safia's War by Hiba Noor Khan.